What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on Buy Sell Cars TV, and more specifically, welcome back to another BCA car collection. Today, what we're doing is we are picking up a cheap car. I've got a Nissan Almera Tino, I think it's called that. We'll call it Almera Tino, and it's an automatic. Hammer price of the car was £225. So it was really cheap on that front. Not a huge lot of risk, but let's go check it out anyway. Like I said, we're 5 minutes away. I'll show you the car, take it for a little drive. So let's head on down there and let's show you the car. Right, let's give you a walk around. It was super busy over there, so I've just popped down the road to give you that walk around of the car. And look, when you're buying it for £225, you can't expect a lot, but still, let's have a little look around, see if we can spot anything out of the ordinary. There's a little dent over there on the boot. Very, very small. In the context of things, it's not really something I'm going to be concerned about. Driver's side, you've got a little mark over there on the door, just a little crease going all the way down there. Front wing as well, we've got a bit of a scuff down here. And the most obvious damage is down here, so the front bumper in the corner. Overall, £225 hammer price with fees. I don't know what it is, we're going to get into that later in the video anyway. It's not too bad, still looks presentable enough. Of course it needs a massive clean. The wheels have got a ridiculous amount of brake dust on them, but all of these things are very, very minor in the context of things. So let's check the interior out as well. Right, so looking into the interior, it's not actually too bad at all. There is a little bit of wear and a bit of sagging to the seats, but when you take into consideration the age of the car, it's 2003, you're going to expect to see things like that, which is just general wear and tear. Other good point about this car, it has got a sunroof. Now, I don't want to test it just in case it doesn't close. We'll do it when we get back. Good to obviously have that. Key point of this car, like I mentioned earlier, automatic gearbox. That is absolutely fantastic. Bit of a bonus as well, we've got air conditioning because it's absolutely roasting in this country at the moment. And it looks like over here we have a sat nav or touchscreen unit. We'll find out in a bit what that is, but first impressions off the front, looks pretty clean, pretty happy with that. Looking into the rear seats as well, to be honest with you, I'm very, very happy. I don't actually think it needs a lot of work inside. Having a quick look, especially down at the carpets, could just do with a little bit of a valet, maybe a light clean, but nothing too aggressive. As always on the MPVs, we've got the nice picnic tables and the drinks holder. Lovely little family car, but look, hammer price 225 quid for an automatic MPV with a sunroof, air conditioning and potentially sat nav. But anyway, let's get the camera set up in the car and let's get driving and see, have we bought a bit of a rotten box, or could this potentially be the bargain of the century and a lot of profit to be made? So let's get that set up now. Right, so first impressions, how are we looking in the Almera Tino? That beeping noise you can hear, by the way, it's just a sat nav. We have managed to get it working. It's taking me on a bit of a funky route. I know where I'm going. I'm sure it'll reroute itself in a second. First impressions, how are we looking? Well, the positive is it's driving very, very nice. The automatic gearbox is changing gears and pulling away smoothly. Always a bit of a nervous thing when you buy an automatic car from auction. If something is wrong, it's a bit more expensive and it's an older car, so is it economical to repair? You know, all these things you think about. But great news, first impressions, we're looking good. And the engine as well, you know, it sounds very, very smooth. You know, it's done 91,000 miles. It's got some service history there as well. On that front, it's a positive thing. Engine and gearbox are good, then we're on to a good start. Of course, there is the elephant in the room. The car hasn't got an MOT, which puts it at a risk because the person who owned the car may have thought this isn't going to pass an MOT. So let's get it sold, let's get it put in the auction. It's just not worth it, it's scrap value to them, right? Do you know what, let me close this window because I don't know how windy it's going to be on the camera for you guys. It is so hot, honestly. At the point of me filming this, we're in like September, and honestly, I'm sure all of you are aware anyway, but this week of heat has just come out of nowhere. It literally feels like I'm abroad. So where was I? No MOT, could be a bit of a risk. The way the car's driving at the moment, it seems good. There's no sort of knocks or any weird creaks from the suspension. Again, another positive, but really and truly, until it goes for an MOT test, we're not going to know if there is anything wrong with the car or not. But I looked at the previous advisories of this car. It wasn't anything crazy. There was something there to do with the exhaust. I think there was some of the flexi pipe. I can't remember it exactly, but you know, that told me maybe the exhaust will be blowing. but it's not. So either it means that there isn't a problem, or more likely it's been rectified since its last MOT. So that's another positive. Now, the plan for this car, well, as long as it gets me back home, I've got about 100-mile drive. So first things first, gonna get it taken to the garage, get it dropped off for an MOT. Fingers crossed we can get it passed without having to spend too much money, but everything will be documented in this video. You know, this is going to be a full end-to-end, letting you know the exact cost of this car, to the point of obviously getting it ready for sale, what was involved in getting it ready, the actual cost of those, any issues. So it's going to be a full A to Z on this video. Like I said, it's going to get the MOT test done, so that's the first thing. It's also going to get a service done. Now, it was only done a couple thousand miles ago, but really and truly, it's been about 2 years since it was serviced. You know, it's not a lot of money to get it done, and it does add value, makes it easier to sell the car. So we're probably going to look to get that done as well. Once that's done, will it need a good old valet in here? I don't think it needs a full shebang valet, but it definitely needs a clean in here. So obviously that's going to have to get done as well. Obviously, during the time whilst the car's being prepped, if there is anything that arises and needs to get done, it's going to be addressed. It's got to be done right. But more importantly, for you guys, I know you want to know the exact cost involved in everything. So if it sells by the time this video is out, then of course I'll let you know of the profit involved in this car as well. But if it hasn't, we're still going to talk about the nitty-gritty at the end of this video, talking about the exact cost of this car, including the fees, you know, every little detail, the cost of travel, the fuel involved, getting it MOT'd, service, validated, advertising. We're going to talk about every little thing so you get an exact figure on the potential profit on this car, or if it's sold, the actual amount that was made. So that's the plan for the video. We've got half a tank of fuel in the car as well, which is a bit of a bonus. I should get home on that. But look, car seems to be driving well. We've got a sunroof, we've got a bit of AC, and we've got sat nav, and it was 225 quid hammer. I'm going to leave it at that for now, guys, and we're going to pick up this video in a couple of days once we get it dropped off to the MOT garage, and we'll see where we're at then and evaluate, and we'll carry on with the video then. Okay, so fast forward now a couple of days, and we've got the car picked up from the mechanics. Glad to say it passed the MOT. Now, that was a big scare for me because it had no MOT. You know, there's a part of that which does make you think that the previous owner didn't have much faith in the car for passing it, but do you know what? Happy days, it's passed. A couple of advisories as well, but nothing too major. A couple of the tyres, so the near side, rear, a little bit of perishing in those. Not too bad at all. I've had a look at them, and to be honest with you, it's wear and tear. You know, these are advisories. It's something, you know, to look out for potentially on the next MOT, but it's nothing too major. And there was also a little bit of under seal underneath the car, so potentially in the past maybe there was some rust repairs done, and that's been sealed over to prevent it from getting any worse over the years. But really and truly, for a car that had no MOT, and some of the advisories from last year, such as the exhaust, which was a bit of a worry, thinking there could have been a blow in the exhaust, which obviously wasn't the case. It's obviously been replaced at some point. Pretty happy in that front. You know, it's only done about 2,000 miles in the last year, and really looking at the last previous MOTs, it's not done much mileage at all. So it's not been driven much, but it's been driven enough that it hasn't had too many problems. Also, same time that the car was here, had it oil changed on it as always. So, you know, again, it was only a couple thousand miles ago, but it's got to be done, it's got to be put right. So as we stand now, things are looking great. £225 hammer price car with 12 months MOT and a service done on it. Things are looking good. So what's left to do now is we're going to heading to the valeters, get it all cleaned up. I'm going to get there and decide whether I'm going to give it a full valet or just give it a once over clean, because it's not actually too bad in here, to be honest with you, but we'll do that in a second. For now, let's head down there, let's get this dropped off to the valeters, and at the end of the video I'll show you obviously the car in its final form, and we're going to go over the exact costings involved in this car, so you get an idea of exactly how much we paid for the car to the point of sale, and then we can talk about potential profit margins, and who knows, if it's sold by then, I'll pop it in the screen to let you know how much it's sold for. So stay tuned, guys. Right, so we're back from picking the car up from the valeters. As I said earlier, it was in need of a bit of a clean, so I just decided, you know what, give it the full shebang, get it looking nice and tidy, because it was 50-50. It was clean, but parts of it wasn't, so I thought, do you know what, let's just get it all done, and let me show you that now. Walking around the outside, to be honest, there's not really anything to see, so I won't bore you with going around the full side of the car. Obviously getting it valeted, yes, it will be a little bit cleaner, but the outside isn't really where we're going to see the big change. So let's go inside and show you the difference. Now, as I go inside, many eagle-eye viewers of you will probably say, I don't actually notice a drastic difference. You are right to some extent. You know, there still is a little bit of stainage on the seat, but it does vary. It's to do with the material. And this is a lot more it's got a lot more stretch in it than your typical wear, so it's not as great as it could be. But as we look around the rest of the interior, such as the carpet, and again, I'm not going to say it's absolutely perfect because it's not, but when you take into account it's an old car, it's been through a lot, it's a lot better than what it was before, and especially down here we had a lot of mess. But just as an overall difference in the car, it definitely smells a lot more fresh, it feels a lot more fresh as well, and it was £50 to get it done. I'm not going to complain about that. Looking at the back as well, again, it wasn't really too bad to begin with. There was a little bit of stainage around there, but you know, looking at the seats, they look great. The carpet down there as well, it's as good as it's going to be, especially when you take into consideration it's £50. You know, we're not talking 300 quid for a detailer to come around. So overall, getting it clean, getting it nicely ready for sale, I'm happy with how things are looking. So where does that leave us now with this car? So we've got everything done to it. We've had it MOT'd, we've had the car serviced, we've had it valeted. You know, it didn't really need a lot doing to the car, and the best thing about this was it was a cheap car to begin with. You know, 225 quid hammer price. It's an absolute bloody bargain. And just to give you a bit more context with how much this car actually costs, we'll talk about the fees involved as well. So like I said, it was a 225 car. The fees definitely can be expensive. You notice it more on, you know, the lower end stuff. So, and they vary from different brackets. But just to give you context, so this was 225 hammer price, but with the fees, the car cost £377. So let me get the calculator up and we can add everything up together. So far what we spent on the car, getting it retail ready, and obviously then we can look at the sort of potential profit margins involved in the car, because that's what everyone wants to know. So with £377 from buying the car from the auction, including the fees, and then the train ticket to get there was about 20 quid. The car had fuel in already, so I don't have to factor that in. Getting it MOT'd, so that was another £40, and getting it serviced as well, that was another 80 quid, and the final cost, obviously getting the car valeted, so that was 50 quid. It is a little bit of a bigger car than your normal hatchbacks, hence why it's a little bit more money, but 40 quid, 50 quid in the grand scheme of things is pretty cheap. So that leaves us with a grand total of £567, and that is to get this car ready for retail. So now you know how much the car costs. The car, if you go look yourself on the market, you know, this is an MPV, an automatic, it's done less than 100,000 miles. They start at around 1,500. Now, when I say start at, obviously you will see a couple which are cheaper, but generally they're around 1,500 quid upwards, and if anything closer to 2 grand. And this car's got a pretty good spec as well. Like I said, you know, it's got the reverse camera, sat nav, automatic, electric windows, sunroof. In that price bracket, you're getting a lot for your money. I could list the car at 1,995, but I got the car cheap. I don't want to be greedy, and also I would prefer a quick sale. So I think I'm going to price the car around sort of the £1,600 mark. So that tells you the sort of margin I'm going to be making. You know, hopefully be clearing over £1,000 on this car. And when you look at the risk involved in terms of the cost of buying this car, you know, without the MOT, if it was to have failed, it's not a super risk. Scrap value is still reasonable-ish. It's come down, but even if I took a loss on the car, it's not going to be like detrimental to my life. But still, it gives you an idea of the margin that is in this car. So that's the mindset I'm coming with. Buy it cheap, advertise it cheap, and hopefully it'll be a quick sell, and then I can reinvest that money back into more stock. So that's the plan. Who knows if it's going to go to plan. I sometimes get stuck with cars for a couple of months. Sometimes cars go in a couple of days. So let's see what happens with this one. If it does sell before this video goes live, what I'll do is I'll pop on the screen right now to say how much the car has sold for, so I can give you an idea of the profit that was made on this car pre-tax. Just a quick update on the sale price of this car. So got it sold in around a week's time. Sold it for £1,650. It was a completely virtual sale. Customer didn't physically see the car, so all the communication was taken via emails and phone calls, and then we got it delivered over. So hopefully that gives you a quick insight into the actual margins on this car, but I'll pop onto the screen as well, so you're going to get to see the difference between the total cost of the car from what we sold it for. But hopefully that gives you a good insight. Let's get back into the video. So yeah, I think we've sort of covered it all in this video now. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been very insightful, and I hope you like the numbers we've been talking about today. Hopefully it's been a good one. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Take care, guys.